Welcome, Jake. Thanks for coming on the show today. And before I even begin, you're not shy with your opinions, but I'm sure a lot of boxing fans right now, the purists, are like, oh, you're having Jake Paul, you're lending legitimacy to what's going on. And let me say, I want to say something about that, and then I want to talk to you about it. Number one, people are interested in you. You have a character that people are interested in. That means I expect people to watch this because you're on. And number two, that would not be enough for me if you didn't take it seriously. But what I respect about what you're doing is you are responsible only for yourself. And you seem to me to be taking the craft of boxing, though you're a novice, seriously. You show up in shape, you show up apparently trained seriously, and you fight as hard as you can. And so I respect that. And so I think that for that reason, I want to talk to you. How do you feel about people questioning your legitimacy as a fighter?
I think I've proven myself at this point. You know, when I knocked out Nate Robinson, he was a real athlete, and everyone was betting on him to beat me. And then I go up against an Olympic athlete in Ben Askren, and this guy is a fighter. You know, they call him an MMA fighter. He's a two-time NCAA Division I champion, and I'm an actor, YouTuber who transitioned into fighting. But I understand why people are mad. But the legends, the OGs, like Mike Tyson, for example, are saying that what I'm doing for the sport is the best thing that's happened to boxing in years. That's what Mike Tyson said. Oscar De La Hoya comes into my locker room right before the fight. He goes, I love what you're doing for the sport of boxing. Keep it up. And so some people are mad, but I think the other people that are on my side, they understand what I'm doing. And again, like you said, I'm dedicating my whole entire life to this, training 10, 12 hours a day, stretching, sprinting, boxing, jogging, running up hills, chasing alligators. I'm doing it. I'm doing it all.
You mentioned Mike Tyson and Oscar De La Hoya saying you're good for boxing. I would also encourage boxing fans. I agree. I think anyone who can get people interested in combat sports, that's a good thing, and the boxing establishment should embrace that. In your case, that hasn't exactly happened with a lot of people. I've even heard people, online questioning the legitimacy of the Askren knockout. Now, to my eye, you hit him with a one-hitter quitter, flew his head, and knocked him out. Why do you think people, because he was smiling afterwards, and they said, oh, he threw the fight, or he what? Why do you think people are saying that?
Just because of the way it happened. I mean, I'm embarrassed for him. That was awful. He came in unprepared, and I said it in the weigh-ins the day before. I said, you, my friend, are underestimating me. And it was very, very unprofessional the way he came in. And what people won't give me credit for is my power, and I have a lot of knockout power. I mean, we saw what happened to Nate. We saw what happened to in my first professional fight. All of these fights are basically one round. I've been in there three times, and it's been a total of like 6 minutes. So I do have power, and he just couldn't handle it, and people are gonna say whatever they want to say about Jake Paul. There's always something that they have to say or some excuse that they're going to have to make.
Jake, look, in my view, you can just continue making events. I think it's hard to make a big event that the public's interested in. You need to find the right matchup where people think that both guys have a chance. You need to find something that captures the public imagination, characters they know they're invested in. And if I were you, I mean, it makes a lot of sense to continue to take these kind of fights. And you're right, Askren has scored knockouts with his hands at a world-class level. It's not like he never fought before in a big situation, more often than you have. And yet, I don't know what your goals are. What is your goal as a professional boxer? Because people seem to be reacting to, well, you don't take him seriously, he's not a real fighter. And you can be a boxer at various levels, and so, but I'd like to know what your goals are in the fight game.
Yeah, I have a couple of goals. First and foremost is to have fun. I'm doing this for me, and I'm doing it because my whole life has been a fight. I've had a fight for everything I've ever had, and I love the sport of boxing. I love this sport. It means a lot to me, and it saved me from a path of self-destruction, being in Hollywood or surrounded by a bunch of bad people. Boxing quite literally saved my life. So first and foremost, I'm doing this to be happy and have fun, but I want to prove to people I'm a real fighter and have hard fights. I want to continue to challenge myself, and that's what I've done every single time. When I beat the YouTuber, that clip that we're watching right now, people were like, fight a real athlete. Okay, I fight a real athlete in Nate Robinson. Beat him. Oh, he was just a basketball player. Fight a real fighter. Okay, so then I get an Olympic athlete who's a real fighter and knock him out. So now I'm going to continue to challenge myself and continue to raise the bar. I want to fight real boxers. I want to fight real MMA fighters. This all started, with calling out McGregor and the goal to fight McGregor because I know how big of a fight that will be. And so people are telling me, yeah, Jake, fight this person, Jake, fight that person, fight a real boxer. Guys, I'm gonna just like stay tuned. I'm not afraid, and people will see my skill. I wanted in this Ben Askren fight to have a harder challenge so that I could show my skill, show all the things in my arsenal, but I didn't even get a chance to do that. I didn't even get warmed up, and I didn't even get hit. So people haven't seen anything that I'm capable of. And so that's why I was a little bit disappointed with it only going one round, is because if people would have saw how well prepared I was and all the different things I can do as a boxer, they would have shown more respect afterwards.
But Jake, so it's not easy to be in that position because you need to make big events. You want to get paid, you're a big star, and you want to make big events. So you have to find the right person who is a big enough name and star also to match with you. But you want it to be where the public believes both guys have a chance. When you say you want to continue to challenge yourself, do you have anything concrete in mind? Like, I'd like to be a top 10 ranked contender one day. I'd like to show that I could beat someone with an amateur background. Or is it more, no, I just want to continue to grow as a fighter and see where I go?
I think a little bit of both. I want to be undefeated, and I want to beat good guys. Like I said, I want Nate Diaz. I want Conor McGregor. Those are the guys I want to go up against. My brother's fighting against Floyd. So after that, I can fight against Floyd. But I do want to do big events like you're saying. And I do need big name people. So who's it going to be? Who's the perfect opponent? And what a lot of people are forgetting is that you probably have never watched Floyd Mayweather's fourth fight or know who his opponent was. You've probably never watched Mike Tyson's fourth fight. You've probably never watched Anthony Joshua's fourth fight. And when you go on BoxRec and you Google the opponents and their records, at that point in their career, those opponents were all negative. They had no wins, basically. And so I'm pushing myself, I think, more than a lot of these boxers early on in their career. And because I'm on this big stage, people want me to fight the best person and lose, but I'm sorry.
Yeah, you gotta be matched appropriately. And I understand what you're saying. You're saying you're targeting MMA fighters now with some striking skills because they have big enough names to make an event, but they don't have an unfair experience advantage in boxing. Maybe an advantage, but not one that puts you in a no-win situation. I get that. Your persona, the bad boy, right, is based on a lot of controversies you've been in, including a serious allegation from a woman which you deny. Is this something that you're embracing in terms of a big part of the public dislike for you and marketing? Because that's entirely possible to do. You can play the good guy to some people and the bad guy to others. So are you embracing the bad boy thing for boxing in order to make events?
For sure. But, all of these allegations and things that are said about me are things from years ago. And they're 100% false. And my legal team's following up with these people to make sure that they're held accountable for the things that they're saying, because they're not true and they're going to damage my brand forever. But I do embrace that side of things. And that's sort of where the nickname Problem Child comes from, is because I've always been that problem child. And I finally have embraced it, and I'm able to use that energy in the sport of boxing to help propel me. And I do have a lot of haters. I know I'm one of the most hated people in the world. And I'm looked at as a villain. But, I also have the same amount of people that hate me or the same amount of people that love me. I have tons of fans. I have tons of supporters. And that's part of the reason why these events that we're doing are so big, is because people want to tune in to see me lose, but then there's also the people who want to tune in because they love me. So it is what it is, and I use both sides to my advantage.
What I say, the bad boy, right? The problem child. Excuse me, Jake. All right. I want to talk to you about two names in particular. Daniel Cormier had some stuff to say after the Askren knockout, and you had some stuff to say back. What do you think about boxing Daniel Cormier?
I'm down 100%. I just don't think he'll do it, and he's retired, and that's why he has no room to talk here. And I could go get my boy Stipe from Cleveland and put him back on Cormier to handle that light work again. So I'm down. I'll fight Daniel Cormier. That would be massive. And again, I think I would win. And, as soon as I said that, he goes quiet.
Jake, there's also Tommy Fury. Tommy Fury is the heavyweight champion of the world, Tyson Fury's brother, and he's a professional boxer. Are you interested in boxing Tommy Fury?
100%. I think it's a great matchup, and I think it would be a massive, massive fight. He's fought guys. I think he's like 4-0, and the people that he has fought, they have a combined record of something like 10 and 250 losses. So he's fought scrubs to make himself look good, and people will say the same about me, but I've fought guys with winning records like Ben Askren and a Nissan Gibb. So, I just think that would be an interesting fight. I think he's fought scrubs, and I didn't know who he was until Tyson Fury, his older brother, was like, "Oh, fight my younger brother," and I was like, "Oh my God, I didn't know I didn't know Tyson Fury took it," and it was Tommy Fury. So. Pretty funny, and definitely going to be a big fight. And there's talks about it. Our teams are talking and trying to figure something out. So, like I said, I'm with it. I'll fight whoever, wherever, whenever.
Jake, you've said some crazy stuff about COVID and stuff like that, but I got to tell you something. I think what you're doing takes guts to get in the ring, strip down, get in the ring, and fight another man when that's not your background, and then look for challenges. I do think it takes guts. I think that you show up with respect for the sport. It's why I wanted to have you on today. You did not have to come on today. When you do an interview on a boxing show, in fact, you're doing probably more for that show than the show is doing for you. And yet you chose to come on because I think you do take the sport seriously. Thank you for it. And we're gonna keep keeping our eye on you to see what the next event will be and how you do, and if you're good to your word about stepping up the competition. Best of luck.
100%, Max. I appreciate it, man, and this is just the start, so I'm sure we'll be back on in a couple of months.
Thanks, Jake.